All right, so we're going to get into some objects.
Yeah, we are.
Now, what do we have here?
Well, we have a joke class, which has the traditional setup and punchline. And we also have a joke writer class that currently doesn't work. It's going to fill out a bunch of jokes in an array list. So the first step is just to get the joke class to have a constructor and setters and getters to function as a real data class.
It took me a while to really understand setters and getters, but now I get their importance.
Yeah, they're really good, and I think you really have to be in a situation where you have to fix something or change something to really appreciate them. Because if you have a bunch of pieces of code trying to change something, it's really hard to try to find all those references. But if you just have to change it in one place, it's so much easier.
But as a novice developer, I think I would want to just put setters and getters on everything. Is that really what we want to do, or is that just kind of rookie mistake?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily rookie, but with the whole separation of concerns, you really only want to have things have access to stuff that they need to. You really want to keep all your cards hidden, so that when someone comes across your code, including your future self, that you know which things you should be touching and accessing and which things you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. So now you're creating a new class.
I'm creating a bot.
A bot.
Yes.
Is this like the bots on the internet that do all the CAPTCHAs and steal all our email addresses?
Kind of, actually. This one's not that exciting.
Okay.
It's just I think it's just going to have a name, and it's going to be able to actually log something so it can talk.
Right. Now you've got private up there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not public.
That's not public because, again, we want to protect this variable from being changed. If we do want to make it public, the convention is to make a setter and getter. It's really common in a lot of beginning Java courses to just make everything public. But then that creates kind of a bad habit of making bad architecture. Whereas now it's so easy to create a getter and setter. I mean, if you have to type all that stuff, I understand why. But now it's it's actually easier to create a getter and setter than it is to type all that stuff out. So.
And protected, that's different.
Yeah, protected is different. Protected, I'm using because I want it to be shared. I want it to have shared access by things that inherit it.
Oh, that suggests to me that this might not be the only bot.
You know what? That's possibly true. I'm not going to give it away, though.
Okay. Well, I always love that you have to import the log statements. I don't know why. It's one thing that I just don't know why they didn't just auto-import that, because they're so common. You have
to auto-import everything, or you have to import everything. Mm-hmm. And log is not a part of Java. Log is a part of Android. And so that's the reason why you have to actually include it.
Static is a great keyword.
Static is a great keyword. It's really, really awesome because it really saves on memory. It allows you to just share everything. I mean, when I was first writing a lot of Java, I used it way too much. So that's also a possibility. But it really does help make sense of trying to share some data between classes rather than just making kind of some global variable. So here we go. We're extending bot.
I see that. So now we have jokes. We have a joke. Now we have a joke bot.
Yeah.
Why do we need both?
Well, the bot, I mean, we could make another bot. We could make a bot that just says insults or compliments.
Could we just have a lame bot?
We could just a lame bot that just doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
It just sits there.
Just sits there and just does dot.
Yeah.
No, a bot is a functionality that I've created that has a name and it talks. So I want to do something that has a name and talks and tells jokes. So I don't want to rewrite everything that I just wrote down in a bot. I want to extend that functionality. So this is what's so awesome about Java is this inheritance thing allows you to say, oh, I already wrote that, and just use it.
Mm-hmm. Now, jokes I know is visible.
Jokes I know. See, now that should have probably been private. I made it public, but it should be private and should have a setter and getter. And here we have something that's going to be using that talk method from earlier, but in a very specific way. get the setup, get the punchline.
Got it. So your joke bot is there to deliver the joke.
Yeah, that's his new functionality.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. That really should be private. When I invent a time machine, I'll go back and change that.
Or perhaps our students could learn from it and try to do it themselves.
That would be a much better idea. Building a time machine is not included in this course at this time. So telling a joke. Okay, so we have say joke and then telling a joke. Now, what this is going to do...
Okay, wait. What's the difference?
Well, to tell a joke is encompassing this idea of like, we'll pick a joke to tell.
Okay.
We're saying a joke. It takes a joke as an input. So it's like, say this joke. But tell joke is void, right? It's not returning anything. So it's going to perform that action.
But it is a double.
It is a double, but it's not a double. It's a double.
Ooh.
See how it's uppercase D?
D, yeah.
Yeah.
Big D double.
Yeah, big D double.
That means it's it's not the primitive double.
No, it's the actual
there's
class.
There's a whole class written for it.
Yeah, there's actually a Java class written for pretty much all the primitives. And they do this thing called boxing to convert really quickly from them. There's actually a much easier way to do 18 and 19, but they haven't learned it yet, so we had to do it the hard way.
Oh, okay. So they'll be excited when they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll be sure to point it out.
Yeah. So here again, we're just picking a random number, and random returns basically a number between like 0 and 1. So that if we multiply by the size, it's between the beginning and end of that array. We're getting a random joke out of there, and then we're calling say joke to actually write it to the log.
Mm-hmm. Now, what had you choose these two methods, say joke and tell joke? What was your reasoning behind creating both of them and the names you used?
Well, say joke is very close to the talk method. It's like say. That's my answer. And cough.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that. Saying and talking, because it takes input, I thought that was correct. I know tell and talk sounds similar, but I just happen to choose tell as being like there's more to telling a joke than just saying it. You have to figure out what you're going to say.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the cough joke method,
right?
Which you just kind of use.
Like here's the setup. It's also the punchline. So here we are. We're using Joke Writer. Notice that we're using a class a method there. Joke Writer is capital. So get joke list 1 is shared for all joke writers. You didn't have to actually instantiate it. We could just ask the class right away to get it.
And you're doing this in your onCreate method of your main activity.
Yeah, I'm just doing it because that's where everything starts at this point. So we're just creating some jokes. We're giving it to our joke bot, and then we're asking our joke bot to pick a random one and tell one.
That way you'll see it because onCreate will be run when you launch the debugger.
What do you call a cheese that isn't yours?
Nacho cheese.
Super cheesy, but...
Where did you find that joke?
That's a classic, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not like on the back of a Doritos bag?
It probably is now.
Okay. Should be.
Or should not be.
Or we might just get sued now by Doritos.
Can we say Doritos?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Okay.
Comedian bot.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Like saying a joke, that's like a thing at a party, right? Like, yeah, tell me a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But a comedian, he's got a whole... He really extends that functionality. But he should do the same things that a joke bot does. He just wants to kind of add on to it.
And he will extend not bot, but joke bot.
Right. So you have this issue, though. We have to actually generate a constructor because JokeBot had a very special constructor. JokeBot's constructor actually was the part where you gave him a bunch of jokes that he knows. So the auto generation is like, oh, yeah, you have to do the same thing, Comedian Bot, if you're going to have that functionality.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But here's what I do. I just hack that stuff. I just go, you know what? No, the Comedian Bot is going to, sure, have the same constructor, but I'm actually just going to pass a null.
So the comedian bot gets nothing.
Comedian bot creates a joke bot that doesn't have any jokes, and then he goes to a writer, the joke writer himself, and gets his jokes.
You have this whole ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, it's because the comedian bot's now responsible for that, right?
Okay.
Now, this would not necessarily be great architecture. I just kind of wanted to show that you could do this. But you don't really want to suggest to someone, hey, give me a bunch of jokes I know, because I'm going to ignore them. That's not really a good architecture. But you can do that. You can really override and change the functionality of your parent classes.
Okay. Even though it doesn't say override.
No, because it's a special method, because it's a constructor.
Got it. So you don't need the add override for the constructor.
You actually never need the add override. That's actually just to help you out.
Oh, interesting.
When you put the at override, it then checks to see, hey, does the parent class have this? And if it doesn't, it gives you an error.
Got it.
But if you were to remove line 16, it would still work. But if you removed, if you kept line 16 in and one of your parent classes didn't have a say joke method, it'd be like, dude, you're not overriding anything.
So just a quick note on the super.
Yeah.
Because I was confused about that for the longest time.
Okay.
Super refers to the parent class.
It refers to a superclass.
A superclass. Okay.
So, for instance, if you had something that was in bot, you could refer to it as super. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily directly inheriting it, because you're inheriting all the functionality of everything you've ever inherited.
Right.
So that's the reason why it's not exactly your direct parent, but it is a parent class.
So super in this case could refer to JokeBot or bot. We know it refers to JokeBot in this case. But
yeah, because we wrote that functionality. But
right.
Yeah. You'll see that actually in a lot of the default Android stuff, where they'll inherit, and you'll still use super to refer back to a parent class, but not necessarily like your direct descendant or direct ascendant, direct parent.
Direct offspring?
No, that would be
the subclass.
That would be, well, it'd be like your neighboring class.
Okay.
That's not a computer word.
No.
Okay.
There's no siblings.
No. Not for Java, not really. Yes. And now we're using the enhanced for loop. It's a beautiful thing. So simple. Rather than having to write all that stuff out for the normal for loop, you're like, man, look, I just want to iterate over everything in here. And I know they're all joke objects.
I really, really encourage our students, though, to not just jump to the enhanced for loop, but really write out several for loops before you start taking this shortcut.
Right. Well, when you're doing one for each thing, use an enhanced for loop. But there are so many situations where that's not the case. Again, this is for each. But when you're looping over things, you're not always looping over every single item. Now we got our joke bot to tell a joke. And now finally here, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. Oh, do I change it to private? Oh, no, I'm
static.
Bringing out static.
Now, why'd you do that?
To be completely honest, I don't remember.
Okay.
But I think the reason why is because I'm about to switch which jokes are getting done to make sure that they actually share them. Because what's going to happen now is JokeBot is actually going to choose his jokes. But what's going to happen here, the jokes I know, when he gets joke list 2, it's going to switch it for all JokeBots. So I'm just kind of demonstrating that functionality. But now actually when Comedian Bot, when he actually manipulates that, he's going to now have a static reference. So he's going to actually change what JokeBot does.
Dr. Hilarious.
Yeah. Well, he's a very
good name.
Yeah, he's a very influential bot in the comedy bot market.
Someone should make a comedy bot app.
I'm sure that they have.
Yeah, it's got to be out there. It's like Rule 48 or something. If you can think of the app, it's already been built.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Rule 48, but okay. I'm sure it is a rule.
I just gave it a number.
Okay,
I did random.
Yeah,
you just came up with a double.
Math.random.
Yeah,
converted it to an int.
Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do next? He's going to perform the show.
Yeah. I mean, after we manipulated that constructor, just to kind of show you again what we can change and what we can't change and why.
So what are we expecting to see?
A show in the log.
So several jokes.
Well, one of JokeBot's jokes, and then the comedian bot. But we can't tell the difference right here. So he's saying all his jokes.
Why couldn't the bicycle stand up? Because it was too tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see, good evening, my name is Robot. So in order to differentiate in the log, we're now completely modifying and changing the comedian's behavior. We're doing it in reverse. I'm actually saying, okay, I know I'm going to want to give him his name first, and then I'm going to jump into Comedian Bot to then implement that functionality. You don't always have to build stuff from the inside out.
And you're doing that because you want to replace the name Robot?
Mm-hmm.
Set name. Because you made the setters and getters.
Mm-hmm. And so again, now I've created Comedian Bot, but I never had to redo any of the functionality from Bot or JokeBot. I could just kind of change what functionality I wanted to keep and add on what functionality I thought was missing. So he just calls that one joke. What do you call a fish with no eye? Fish, fish.
Got it.
But Dr. Hilarious puts on a whole show.
Yeah, look at that.
Doing this with your own code allows you to write little chunks that are useful and extend their functionality to make more and more powerful, reusable code. And it's one of the reasons why object-oriented languages are so useful, because you can actually use other people's code that's not even yours and slightly change the functionality for what you need.
So what would you encourage them to do with this project once they've finished coding it up? Could they add to it? Are there other objects and classes that they could create?
Sure.
Could they tell more jokes?
They could tell more jokes. They could have it perform something more elaborate than what was done there. In fact, even later on in the course, one of the things I did for the first version of that is I actually connected Comedian Bot to the text-to-speech, so that when it ran, it would just start actually talking on the device and performing the show live.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll get to that a little later on in the course.
I still want to know where you found all those jokes.
Well, I can't reveal my sources.